Beginning in the 3rd century before the coming era, the Romans conquered the Iberian Peninsula. The period gave rise to several regional languages in the area that's now Spain, including Castilian, Catalan, and Galician. One of these would become Spanish, but not for another 1500 years. Those years tell the story of what's become a global modern language. During the Roman occupation, colloquial spoken Latin, often called Vulgar Latin, mixed with indigenous languages, approximately 75% of modern Spanish comes from this Latin actually, including syntactic rules. For instance, verbs are conjugated in a similar way as in Latin, and like other Roman languages, nouns have gender. For example, the sun is masculine and the moon is feminine. After the Roman Empire collapsed, a series of other powers conquered the region. First came the Visigoths, starting in the 5th century of the Common Era. They spoke an Eastern Germanic language that would eventually become part of German and lent a few words to the language that would become Spanish. In 1492, then, the Catholic Church consolidated its power through two monarchs, Isabella and Ferdinand, expelling Muslims and Jews, combining the district regional kingdoms into one nation, and adopting one of the local languages as the official state language. The language was Castellano or Castilian from the Kingdom of Castile, which was centrally located in Spain and home to Madrid. Thereafter, Castellano became Espanol or Spanish. But the Spanish of 1492 was Old Spanish, very different from the Spanish which you may hear today. The same year, Christopher Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, making the start of the Spanish conquest of the Americas. The indigenous population of the Americas spoke an estimated 2,000 different languages. Over the next few decades, most of them were forced to adopt Spanish at the expense of their own languages. By the time of 1605, the language was arguably more similar to modern Spanish than plays by one of his contemporaries, William Shakespeare, were to modern English. Starting in the 18th century, French language and culture were extremely fashionable in Spain and later Hispanic America. While the two languages already had commonalities from their shared roots in Latin, Spanish gained new words from French during this period. So, in the 19th century, all over Central and South America, people revolted to gain independence from Spain. In the newly sovereign nations, people continued to speak the language of their former oppressors. Today, there are approximately 415 million inhabitants of Hispanic America. So, how does a language with so many speakers around the world not break apart into two new languages the way Vulgar Latin did? There's no easy answer to this question. Other languages that spread through colonialism, like French, have mixed with indigenous languages. Some would argue that Spanglish, a mixture of Spanish and English, is a distinct language or on its way to becoming one. But although a person in Buenos Aires occasionally might use words that aren't fully intelligible to someone in Bogota or Mexico City, Spanish retains enough unity of syntax, grammar, and vocabulary to remain one language.